Before we start, drop a like in 3 seconds if you want to beat Zhang. The 6th end-of-level boss in Wulong, Fallen Dynasty is Zhang, the corrupted eunuch. He can be a real curveball of a boss, because he's actually one of many enemies, only one of which is the real boss you need to beat. What's worse is all his doppelgangers will continually throw spells your way, and they will often come from unexpected, off-screen angles. It can be a tricky fight, so here are some strategies to help you beat Zhang. The way the fight works is that killing the clones will not only strip a buff from the real Zhang, but also reduce his maximum spirit gauge so you can more easily break and riposte him. When you do, he will reset his spirit gauge back to normal. Note that you don't need to kill all the clones to begin damaging the boss, but thinning them out will make it much easier to stun him and give you less attacks to worry about. When the fight starts, don't try to rush down either the boss or his clones straight away. Instead, back up and play defensively. Try to keep as many of them in sight as possible to avoid being blindsided. Then, focus on parrying the lightning bolts and sword lunges as these help fill your spirit gauge. When you have a big chunk of spirit saved up, expend it to wipe out a clone and move on to the next one. Keep an eye out for when they start to wind up a red critical hit attack. Those are a high priority because parrying it will let you execute that clone afterwards. When you have killed around half of the Zhang clones in Wulong, then go after the boss himself. You will be able to tell which he is because the clones have health bars above their heads like regular enemies, whereas the boss only has his at the top of the screen. After you get the big hit in, you can finish off the other clones to get another easy riposte in. This is an optional strategy, but it saves you either having to work his spirit gauge down from scratch or waiting for him to resummon them. The main boss himself is generally no more dangerous than the clones, but he has a few moves to look out for. The big hitter is where he charges up his sword before plunging it into the ground for a big area attack, which will one-shot you if you get too close. He also throws out magic tornadoes, and when his clones are wiped out he will perform a flying sword swipe with a big, floaty wind-up. All of these are pretty easy to avoid if you keep your distance, so just stay back and wait for him to do attacks that are easier to parry. As a last note, lightning attacks in Wulong are attributed to the Wuxing phase of wood. Perhaps confusingly, this means Zhang's lightning is countered by metal phase spells and will counter earth phase spells in turn. It's not a game ender if you have invested heavily in the earth phase stat, but be aware that buffs like enhanced defense will be stripped if you are hit by the lightning. Keep these tips in mind and you shouldn't have too much trouble beating Zhang in Wulong. What do you think of it? Leave your opinion in a comment section. Make sure you smash the subscribe button. Peace.